get started. So you're here for the digital storytelling with Adobe mobile apps and a little look at desktop apps as well. There's not any way we could ever get through all of them in one session. My name's Jeff Larson, and I am a teacher at Balboa High School in San Francisco, and I've been teaching almost 20 years. And I teach art and animation and graphics, and I've been doing digital work probably only since about I think I started the slow climb with like teaching myself Photoshop in like 2000. So everything I've kind of accumulated has been over time. And again, like you all know, it's a bottomless pit. You could just jump in and swim around for hours on end and still be lost in the middle of the ocean. So, couple matters they would like me to direct you to. I am a teacher, but I'm also an Adobe education leader. I found myself in this position through being connected to the Adobe Youth Voices program. So I know Jeff Schmidt here. So it's like a long ways back. So we're going to start here on the splash page. But first I'm going to do something really silly. I can't really do it. Same shirt, different laptop, but I know it's serendipitous today. So how many people here have ever been to the Adobe Education Exchange? All right, a couple people. So you have already logged in and you've been there, you kind of poked around. If you could, please take a moment to log in and create an ID. It might be the same one if you already created one when we did the apps, maybe not. You're going to need basically you need one Adobe ID. Whether or not you ever have stuff installed on a desktop, use of the mobile apps requires a sign in with an Adobe ID. And the Ed Exchange is also a great place. So there are over, I believe, 250,000 educators from around the world, K through university level, all kind of industry sectors covered in kind of content areas, who post lessons, share materials across subject areas and across grade levels. We'll take a look at some of the things on there. We won't go too deep into it, but they would love for you, if you're an educator who's got some cool lessons, you can post stuff, you get little badges when you kind of post enough. So again, besides the repository of educator lessons there, both for standard desktop applications like our favorites, Photoshop, Illustrator, After Effects, stuff like that. There's also lesson plans connected to the mobile apps that we're looking at as well, and they're kind of growing day by day. So hopefully while you're doing that, multitasking, you're creating your ID, logging in. If you've got any problems, let me know. I'm sure we're jamming up the network here. I'm gonna look really quick over here and highlight the professional development page. So teachers, and this came up at multiple times at Sacramento, talking to AME teachers about we don't have the opportunity to get trained and develop our skill sets. And so this is a great place because over the last couple of years, they've been offering free classes, online classes. You can either, when the class starts, you either go to and watch a live session through a Connect room. You see the guest speakers who are presenting and talking and going over, the projects and the lessons. Or you can watch the videos in hindsight, but you do have to register for the course. Starting actually today is Wednesday, and that you can still enroll up until April 13th is digital storytelling with Adobe mobile and web apps. So it's just getting started. It's going to run through May. They also offer a digital credential that indicates you've completed 20 hours of professional development, so maybe your district would honor that. Besides the kind of, so there was this one, I think previous ones they've done game design, intro to game design. So if you've never done it, there's, here's some of the tools, and they give you some concrete projects. They've done web design, they've done, trying trying to remember. They've just done general creativity things. On the side, the side there's some self-paced workshops that are not, they don't necessarily give you that credential, but, build your brand, create a digital portfolio. You can earn an Adobe trainer credential. So going through some of these, kind of building your own, experience, connecting with the community here. Great professionals contributing to content, again, from around the world. So that course is just starting. And this is kind of the surface level version of that. There's a section for discussions around different issues, CTE, vocational, education technology, events, teaching, learning, trending discussions. Here's your community. You can find people. There's Tim from Australia. There's Lucas from Denmark. So there's all kinds of folks there. Here again, there's that resource where you can browse by subject, grade level, or by product specifically. So again, we're looking today more closely at Adobe Voice and Adobe Slate for storytelling. We won't do too much of the design side of the apps. That's something you can kind of deal with on your own and explore. And again, your exchange. Here's, when you get filled in. I'm not posting a lot of stuff there. I haven't been on in a while, so, shame on me, but. All right, so how's everybody doing with the logging in? Kind of got that? All right, how many folks were able to download one or more of the apps? Like Adobe Voice, looking for an Adobe Voice kind of. All right, we got a handful. There's a lot of you in the room, more than I was expecting. This late stage in the conference. It's nice to have you all here. Real quick, just want to find out how many of you primarily teach on desktops or laptops, okay? How many of you have access to tablets? Okay. How many of you let your students use their phones? Okay, all right. So a lot of the apps aren't generally available on the Android side of the world. They tend to push them out to Apple iOS first, and then if it's doing well, then they'll kind of roll it out. So sometimes when it comes to using phones as a tool, it might not work, depending on what students have. But the tablets work, and the one we're going to spend more time with, the first one we're going to look at is Slate. And Slate can be found on both the iPad or on the desktop. And it is a free application. So on the tablet, it's free. On the desktop, you just go to the Adobe Slate site and you log in and you could create pages there. I think what else we got. So we covered that. So again, I kind of had it slated, in terms of applications, you've got kind of the storytelling side of things. You've got Slate, Voice, Post, which is more like single image, kind of overlay some text. You've got video editing capabilities, very similar to iMovie, if you've experienced that on the iPad. On the design side of things, you've got things like Sketch and Draw, which are bitmap and vector, great ways to introduce students to those concepts. And things that you create over here can be transported and exported and downloaded into desktop applications as well. And that's the whole beauty of the Creative Cloud, which I know not everybody gets to experience. This is the first year that my class actually was able to get to that point. How many of you have access to Creative Cloud as teachers for your labs? Wow, really? Wow. That's a great place to spend them. And it's actually, after years of being like, it's not affordable, it's not reasonable, it's $2,500 a year, 1 year subscription for about 100 seats at a school site at this point. So it's like finally, then it's just getting it installed. That's the fun job, right? All right, so again, I have not bridged this gap yet of whether or not students can create assets and then access them through the Creative Cloud as anybody else. Like if a kid makes something on their device, but they're going to the school and logging in and using the seat license, can they access? Anybody know? All right, that's my first hurdle. Again, I've only had it in the lab for about a month now, so I haven't really gotten there. Behance is the portfolio application. Maybe we should just switch over here. We were looking at that. Let's see, Reflector. I was not having fun in the late hours trying to get devices connected. I don't know if you've ever tried to mirror. Hey, there's Barnett. Tried to mirror anything. I don't really do it too much. Again, my class only has access to like 12 iPads that are like second generation, low resolution. So we've used them for Adobe Voice, but not too many other things. So let's just take this off of there. And see if anybody wants to connect. I don't want to pair with those. I want to pair with these. It was paired and now it's not. You would download Slate through the App Store or access it online. So it's not? Okay, maybe. Really? Okay. Yeah. All right. Well, we'll skip the post. Don't worry so much about posts. It's kind of more. It was an afterthought. Give me a minute here. I was connected. Now it's not. Of course. Of course. Wi-Fi, DoubleTree meeting, Bluetooth, connect. Connected, there we go. Back here. Come on, you can do this. You can do this. You guys never have problems with technology in the labs, right? Okay, I just thought it was just me. Pretty sure. It's our learning friend. Every time something goes wrong is a learning moment. So I tell the kids, it's just, I'm about to move on. Oh, there we go. Nice of you. That's so nice of you to cooperate. All right. All right, so about the time I was starting to look at Slate after its initial release was on the iPad. And then as I was working with the San Francisco Museum of Modern Art on some curriculum related to their photography exhibition for that museum that's opening up in about a month. So if you need an excuse to come up to San Francisco, the opening of the museum that will be the largest in the US is happening. So lots of times with the apps, like you said, they kind of phase, they like have their initial phase, maybe they change their name, or they just abandon them altogether. Like Photoshop for iPads is no longer supported. If you have it installed, it would continue to work. So it looks like slow load. We'll see. So while I'm pulling it up on if you have a desktop, if you've got a laptop there, you can go to Adobe Slate, and you will use your login ID there. So let's log in a couple places here. Slate is great. It's basically, instead of, you don't have to do web page design to be able to get a nice graphical presentation. It's very, elegant and smooth looking. I don't know if I logged in with that before. We'll see. Probably not. All right, we'll see how many projects I have here. I probably do not have any projects. This is when I first created the one for SF MoMA. I created it on my iPad, and somehow, conveniently, they don't match up. So I don't have a project here, but I've got a project here on my device. But once you're done with it, it is published. So this is the page that I created in the iPad around this lesson plan that was developed around the photography unit. And let's see if we can start scrolling there. And all of the layout is kind of built in. So you pick, again, a kind of presentation template. You're uploading, ideally high quality resolution images. So this is the intro to photography, and it is the lesson that I pulled up in the classroom to use with the students. We were reading through the different quotes. And what they were going to be doing was working as individuals and groups and examining different artists. So each group got a different artist. What's nice is that here in the Slate presentation, I could embed links, hyperlinks to other resources. So this will jump over to a video at SF MoMA. So it's all attached and kind of baked into the page, and I can share the URL with anybody. The students, when they're done with their project, share the URL with you. And then you can, go to their page. You can tell them something's wrong. Why don't you go back, fix it? And again, that nice, slow network. We don't have to go to SF MoMA, do we? Come on, we'll give it a second. All right, we'll try, see if there's something faster there. Yes. So, it's kind of like up to you. You can figure out how you want to use it. So I was like, oh, this will work great for this photography thing. And again, it should have links, and maybe there's something wrong with the Wi-Fi, or they're going. All right, so again, you can link to other resources. So it's all there. So if a student's gone for the day, I can, hey, when they came back, I was like, this is what we did. This is where all the stuff is. And again, as an educator, it's also a lesson plan that was meant to be shared with other teachers. So here's the whole lesson plan overview. And it's mainly you're limited to kind of like header, subheaders, and orientation of the text and placement of images. So it's not, it's not as flexible as some other presentation tools, but certainly, the one thing I'm telling students is it's a new thing. It looks different than like a PowerPoint or a Google slide deck, or even, what's the other one that people like? One that always makes your head spin? Yeah. So here's the whole lesson plan. You're welcome to check it out. It's a photography unit. It has we did a whole intro to photography. They have all these questions they were doing in class, and they were going out doing photography, looking at place, just sense of place. So it's, and then again, once they had their photos, they had to turn back around and create their own Slate presentation based on the photos that they took. So, and then again, I could just put their links in here. And I picked, five of the better ones. I might have had a little range, but it was a great, learning experience for me. Never trying it. It was one of the new things. I was like, yeah, we're going to give that a go. I'd worked with voice before, and voice is really fun and immediately gratifying in a way that Slate maybe isn't. Slate takes a little more time, and especially on this version, it was time consuming. But boy.
So the education exchange is really the sort of a repository for all your stuff, and you can share it with the other.
Yeah. So right now, like if you look, we could go back. Nothing seems to be loading very fast anymore. I know. I'm trying to breathe, but it's not working very well. All right, I'll let that hang there for a little bit. And all right, so again, like back over there when we were looking at the resources, if we went to Slate, let's see if they got anything posted yet. I'm seeing self-paced workshops. I'm just going to stop clicking on things. Okay. Well, if you could all get off the internet, that would be greatly appreciated. I'm just, there was for the Slate? Yeah. You got to it? All right, let's see if the student thing loaded. Oh, there's the student project. So again, her project, beyond my perception, lots of writing. I really pushed to get them to write more. They were, students love to shortchange you when it comes to writing things. And I took this student was like one of the first ones to turn it in. She did a really great job, and I was like, that's what it needs to look like, So like, there's the bar, get there, and that helped quite a bit. So, she modeled it on the other layout, and they had to find new quotes. They were also allowed to use images from their original, go out and find 50 photos, yep.
So when you finish this, how would they go about sharing it with a school? Can they put like a link on their website that they have?
So like up here at the top, even though I'm not logged into her account, here's the published URL for her work. Yeah. And she can come back to her login. She can log in at the Slate site and revise it and fix things. So it's nice in that way. You can update things. So it's less time consuming than building a website. Even on an easy version of building a website. Yeah.
But you don't have to pay for service though.
No. Yeah, so that's the other thing about like when you do web, you're like, oh, we can build it and make it in class, but if we want to publish it to the world, we have to have somewhere to host it. So, that's the beauty of this. I think the first time I saw someone was presenting and had their resume on this. And again, when you go back to, when you look at the Slate homepage, if it ever goes, let's see if we go there. Oh, this is it. No, that's not it. I have not experienced that, no. Let's go back to learn more. Let's see. There we go. Let's try that. We're already signed in. So again, you can see examples of what other people have done with it. Here's a class project. Here's a photo essay. Here's a school report, a business guide. So people are using it for all kinds of, purposes and communicating and storytelling. So it's great. I'm not going to have we're not going to build one today. Yes?
Can you export them and use them elsewhere, or do they only
No, they only live there. So you would have to have, I think the trick is to do screenshots. Same as I saw someone do a presentation. I was like, that looks like you made it in voice. And like, I did, but then they did screen.
So none of these export and live outside the cloud?
No,
The Adobe cloud?
no. Well, actually, so voice, I take that back. Voice, which we're about to look at, does. So it does both. So nope, here it's a page. So if you wanted it to be more like, I want to drop it in a PowerPoint deck, you would have to do screenshots and then kind of,
You want to put on Google Docs?
yeah, no. Yes?
Can you only use photos? Can you use any of the data, media?
No video, so it's just photographic images, and again, high resolution, much better. But you could, students could do their own graphics, drawings, photographs. So let's take a peek at voice. We were really lucky because of the long-standing work and relationship with Adobe Youth Voices. At some point when they were in development and getting close to release, they wanted to come and test stuff with students, and so they came to our class and created a promo spot for slowly loading video.
Fresh or an app like Adobe Voice, students can express themselves and that they all have something to say. They're going to
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
How did you create this?
feel comfortable.
They brought in a nice team of professional videographers to do it. Yeah, my students made that. Actually, his students back there. Yeah, no. We do have some graduate students now who could come back and do that. So let's see. I was going to show you a couple of the things. So one of the things I immediately, I'm going to pause that. We're done with that page. One of the things I realized immediately, we do animation in my class. He does video production. It's like productions take a long time, right? You're like, oh, we're gonna storyboard, you're gonna plan, you gotta shoot, you gotta film, you build your assets. And the thing that was great about voice was like, oh, it's images. It's not so much movies, but it's moving images, photographs, symbols, icons that you could have done in an hour or a couple days, depending on the length and level of complexity you wanted to go for. So we used to do a large 1984 project where students had to, form production teams, and kind of like the last 4 weeks of school, we're like, you're not getting through here until you do the 1984 project. And we'd make them cry because they weren't going to graduate. Right? But then like a couple of years went past, and it was getting harder and harder to get that assignment done. And so when Adobe Voice showed up, I was like, you can just get a team together and make a voice project about 1984. And so it only took them a day or two to finish it and do it fairly well. All right, I'm going to pull up two highlighted projects. One is from that day when they came into film. It was the one they made right then and there in class. And it exports as a video. But you cannot actually put video footage in it. Yeah. So that's why I think they developed Premiere Clip. I was like, okay, but then you're like, but I want to put graphics in it. No, I mean you can. I think still in Clip you can put still images. Yeah. Yeah. All right. So I'm looking for something like Adobe Voice projects. So. That first one, that day when they were filming, he happened to have a poem with him already, and of course, worked last night. This is back when it was called the Ginger Project, before it was Voice. So but this linky doesn't want to work. I wonder if they just got rid of I did not watch that one last night. So, okay, well, we'll just go to the 1984 one then. But that was a beautiful poem that they put words and images to right off the bat. Which one was I clicking on? I was clicking on that one, right? I was. No. All right. Well, we'll show you in a minute. Yeah. So in a bit. So the one thing was also great for as our program, we have to do integrated curriculum. So it's a lot now. With this, you could last year the English teacher used it to do a thing around One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest and psychology issues. And so this was great because this one this piece particular feels like it summarized what they learned in social studies, what they read in the literature class, and then their sensibilities. Sorry, let me stop talking.
How we progressed into a 1984 society. Privacy was non-existent in 1984 society. Or Big Brother was always on the watch. Today, modern
speak to newspeak, a plain language that limits intelligence.
Like newspeak, today's slang and texting language is commonly used only our minds without culture. Freely exercise the mind and constantly challenge the authority.
Dun, dun, dun. Rise up, people. So, I mean, and that was done in a very short span of time. Again, while they were balancing like a larger animation production they were doing, I was like, hey, you still got to turn in the 1984 thing. And so, they scripted it and they went out in the hall and they read it and and they can pass it around, which you're about to do shortly. Again, I've probably lost connection with my device. I'm not happy about this, but so how many people have voice installed on some device on their personage?
Is voice only on,
It's on both this and that, but not on the desktop. Yeah, I think people have been asking for it on the desktop, but I don't think that's happening. Well, what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull it up and see if we're still reflecting, still connected. Turn it on. AirPlay, yes?
can you get those on your own assets?
You will have to use your library of images on your device. So they could take their own photographs. They could get their own photos and images, things you made. If you wanted to get really lengthy, you could make stuff in Photoshop and Illustrator and then get it to the device.
Internet access, like data or Wi-Fi?
Yes, because you're logging in,
By
yes.
students who don't have data or don't have access to Wi-Fi in classrooms, they can use it on their smartphones?
Probably not. I haven't used it on the phone yet, so that is a great question. But I think you do need connectivity because it's saving it to your cloud account. So again, even though you might not have desktop CC, your Adobe ID, and kids, I've had all the kids make their Adobe IDs now at this point, so we're not mirrored yet. We're not there. We're connected.
Text too? Or is it all
No, it's text, images, icons, and the one thing it does really well is probably better than this thing connects, is access royalty-free icons and photographs. So that when you're talking to students about creating original or, legally. Okay, you're connected, yes, but you're not. Why? Come on. No. No. Quit. Oh, now it's gone. Okay, all right, there we go. Woo-hoo. All right. So here we go. We got Adobe Voice. We got it going. And again, it's on the phone. It's on the tablet. You can again see when you first are logged in, you can see examples of other people using it for different things. We've used it for business plan projects, commercials. Used it for the 1984, used it for One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. I've gotten some other teachers to come by and be like, hey, foreign language, or ELL students, or special ed students, telling stories, getting verbal, getting vocal, and then having something done. It should be storing stuff. This is my unfinished Grimm's fairy tale. And as you'll see down at the bottom, there's little vignettes. Each little thing is a slide, essentially. So it's going to play through little chunks at a time. If I press play up here, right below the main screen, it's only going to play through the first frame. It's not playing very well, so we can... I think it's the lag between this and that. That's my guess right now. Looks like there's a new version. No, we don't. We want to keep editing.
And now it's time for the spare.
All right, so the audio is better than it would be. Down at the bottom when you press play, it runs through the whole sequence.
And now it's for good.
All right, we're not going to... It's a story about a bird and a sausage who live together. Short story. All right. So I did not realize there was going to be that lag issue on this.
So are you, when you say you read a story in the library, you're talking about the
No, on your device. Yeah, so here's what I'm wondering. So if someone at this table have voice on something, you do, okay. Phone, app, okay. Do you have a copy of voice, anybody working on it? Okay, all right, phone version's fine, it's gonna work. You can, yeah, you could go through that really quick. I'm gonna go to home. I'm gonna go back to Explore. You could, if there's not a, there might not be a skip function if that's your first time through, so I'm not sure. I'm gonna go to create a new story. And you all are gonna be creating a story. This is where we're gonna get a little deeper into it. So, and I'll try to preview, I'll preview a little bit and then we'll get into the circulate and help mode. So what I'd like you all to consider in smallish groups, again, the more devices we had with it, the better. So I was thinking initially there was going to be like 2 or 4 per group, but maybe it's more like 3 to 4. So what I'd like you to do is consider grouping up in a second. What's your story about? Right now I'm just going to have a working title, AME, leadership, promo. So I was considering these 2 ideas. Create a promotional piece for the AME Institute, or what I learned at the AME Institute, since that's pretty much all we've been doing for the last couple days. Or if your group wants to, buck the trend and strike out in new ground, you can do that as well. So I'm going to go ahead and go to next instead of skip this. So this is what I was talking about earlier. In here there are some starter prompts. Oh, I'm doing a hero's journey. That's a nice narrative arc for a story. Tell what happened. Promote an idea. Make up my own. Do an invitation for something. So I'll pick promote an idea. Pick this one. Okay. And so here we are at the first page here, the first slide. Consider it a slide. And you can see along the bottom, we've got setting, problem, what could be, solution idea, reward, how you can help. That's like 7 or 8 things. But you can add more. Like if I'm at reward and I need to break it up and explain more, I can just hit the plus button on the bottom right there and keep adding additional slides that I'm going to do something in. And so here I am, I'm on the front, and I'm in the setting. And so I'm going to take a picture. And I'm going to take your picture, everybody's picture here, without blocking the camera. We can do this. We can do this. Okay, so just took your picture. Use this photo. Please do access. There's some variety of layouts. We'll look at that in a second. So here we are, and I could start picking themes. That'll mix up, that'll change the font, that'll change the color, background display. So there's a whole lot of different, options here. It's going to change maybe the way graphics move in and out. And now I'm going to say, I am in the beautiful company of amazing educators here in sunny San Diego. And then I would play back and know that I messed up when I said this is sunny San Diego. And the audio is terrible. Imagine that audio is good, but you would hear. Let me do this. Maybe we can. It's the theory here. Is it really teleporting the audio? It's lag. It's a lag. It's like a delay. So yeah, it's still sending it there. So that's too bad. But basically, I did know that when I was talking, I fumbled. Right? Oh, I got it. Okay, so let me re-record. Oh, let's wait a second. Let's try it again. Here I am in beautiful sunny San Diego with a room full of amazing educators. Pause. And then play. One good thing to do when you're doing it is like after you say what you're going to say, you pause a little bit because otherwise like that's part of the timing is established by the break in your sentence. The problem. This is the problem. So now I'm gonna select an icon. So I can search for an icon. So like arts, search, and it's going out and it's looking for all the beautiful copyright-free icons in the world related to arts. So we got arts. And if we dealt with the layout, which should be layout here, I need more than two things. I mean more than one thing. So I want to add another icon or a photo or some text. So I'm going to look for media. Search. Media. Which one looks like a good one? How about classic camera there, Charlie Chaplin's camera. Do you guys know Charlie Chaplin? This is a side note. He pioneered the use of two cameras. Like before that, it was like one camera, shoot it, we're done, great. But once he was like one of the first Hollywood people to have like control over his own artistic vision, and he was like, we're going to do two cameras, and then we're going to mix that footage. Side note, sorry. All right, so then we would love to see you join us next year. Please make it a priority to get to San Diego. All right, so this is where having the little prior scripting helps a little bit. So, students aren't all doing it on the fly, so get them to write it out, and then you're like, okay.
We'll see you just start.
That was good, wasn't it? So yeah, things drop and swing, or they fly in, or they fly out. Question?
How did you add two icons?
I went up to layout, and I said, first I had one thing, now I have two things. Now I want a thing and a caption. So you have a little bit of variety in terms of the layout and what you add to each one. So let's do another one with text and be like, AME. It's got to be all uppercase, doesn't it? Just doesn't look right. Doesn't feel right without the all uppercase. AME. It's changing the size to accommodate, right? Okay, and that should be uppercase. So kids will rush. Kids will want to rush, and you'll have to like make them redo things. Not much, no. Select all. Nope, not much you can do with the text. I mean, the one thing is like you're like kind of stuck and married to the font, right? Unless I change themes. Yeah, so the font's shifting a little bit. Like here we go to flight. Yeah, so it's, that's kind of the limitations. So again, I could record more dialogue, or now I'm like, let's, this piece needs some music. So there's some built-in, music that's going to sound terrible.
Can you add your own music box?
You could. So besides the baked-in soundtracks, kind of generic soundtracks, you can go to My Songs, choose from my iPad, and I could put a really interesting techno song in there, or some Jimi Hendrix, or so yeah, we could add. Song needs to be downloaded, you know. So you could, if students were making original pieces, as long as it's gotten into the library, you could add, you know, the song. You can change the volume level for the background, but it's going to be consistent for the whole piece. So there's the music in the background. It is a global change, yeah. You can't, as far as I am aware, don't quote me on that. It might, maybe you can edit it by slide, but I think it's overall background volume. So the time has come to see if we can make one, and it'll just stop playing the music already. Stop. Let's go back to layout. That makes it stop. All right. So again, if I go back down to the bottom and I'm like, hey, but this slide needs to be over here. So you just point, hold your finger there, pops up, and then you can move your slides around. You can, you know, select it. You could hold your finger on it. There's a little window there, and you could duplicate it, delete it, preview from there. So I don't need that page. Do I want to take it out? No, I'll leave it. No, I'll take it out. All right, I took it out. All right. So then, when all's said and done, once you've recorded or they've recorded everything and they're all good to go, and hopefully you've seen it, you're going to end up going to the export. You're going to go to the export function up at the top right-hand corner there, and you can give it a subtitle. You could pick a category for it, and this is definitely education. I'm not going to publish it yet because this is just, it would be kind of, you can edit the credits. Because one thing it's doing is it's taking any royalty-free stuff and it's putting the credits there. You might be adding your own credits.
Anything you brought in automatically credited?
Yeah, if it brought it in from the internet, yeah, it's got it all earmarked there. So again, is it public or is it private? You know, and then sharing, you've got all those options. You could share directly to a social media platform. I usually end up having students do two things. I have them share it via email, and then the other option is, and it might not, let's see if it might do it once. Let me see. There's an export to camera function. Let's see if this is it. Waiting while we prepare your video. Voice is saving your video to the camera roll of your device. So then again, it's there, and you can move it, send it, after the fact of being logged out of. So that's the thing, if you're in the classroom, you know, at some point you're going to want them to export it to share it and send it to you. So let's spend some time working together to plan and record one. So this is multiple voices. The thing I like about it is that everybody can have a part in it. So this is going to take a little bit of planning. You might want to first identify the people you're going to work with. If anybody wants to work with this tablet, let me know. I can bring it over. Block out some initial ideas. This doesn't have to be epic, grandiose, but you know, if you could get a 15 to 30 second little, you know, promo clip for the Institute or a reflection on your time here, that would be awesome. Each person sharing something, taking turns putting the images in, and practicing for a few minutes. You all up for that? Yeah, a little bit of work. Tell me again, once you're familiar with it, you're like, oh yeah, and the kids, they, you know, I can show as much as I've shown you now, and they're like all over it, yeah.
Is there a limit? I mean, how long?
I haven't hit a limit, but I haven't really pushed it. Like everything's been pretty short. I think it's kind of, it's built, one thing, I'll go back to the project, watch this. Blah, 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 blah. Hey, everybody, how you doing? How you doing? What's going on there? I'm telling you a big, long-winded story about the time when I went to so-and-so, and I came over here, and I went there, and pretty soon it's like, hey, you're talking too long. So that it forces you to, it wants you to break it up so that you're establishing some pacing. And then, you know, maybe if it's an intro thing, if you're doing stuff with students, you know, or, yeah. So you got for trying? Anybody want to borrow this one? Work team. You can stand up, stretch a little bit. Yeah, you're up for it? You were making magic yesterday. That was awesome. What app were you using yesterday?
Slate.
You were for the drawing.
We started with the drawing program, but we ended up with paper 53 for that last night.
Okay. Oh yeah. That's a great one.
Yeah.
All right. Here you go. Create a new story.
Thank you.
And
Can we take pictures directly and then?
yeah. Yep.
Only because I have a ton of drawings.
Oh yeah. Go for it. Yep. Oh, you're welcome. Yeah.
Long drive
Oh,
ahead of
okay.
us.
Yeah.
Always
Good to
love
start.
seeing what you guys
Oh,
are doing.
thanks. Appreciate it.
Do you have like a list somewhere? I mean, I guess you have them.
That is correct. That is. Had you used it before? No. So last night I was, drawing a few things. So in the brushes library. Let's go back to. Oh, here it wants to make one. All right. Go back. So I could make a brush from a drawing. So I had several things. So you zoom in on what you want to make a brush of, and you can adjust kind of the threshold of what kind of line. So here is more like not getting much of a line. Here you get a heavier, thicker outline, and then you capture it. It lets you define the shape. Well, I got a lot of paper on that one. We'll go back to crop. I probably could have knocked out some more of the paper there. I think we'll go back again. Capture. We'll do it one more time. So the more checkerboard showing through. You're looking for like a little balance. Want less paper. Anyways, I did it last night with that same one, so it's already in the library like this. So you're like crop, define what you want as the brush, and go next. And it gives you a preview of what the brush is going to look like in different applications. So here's the last style. Here's when you open it up and use it in Sketch, what it might look like. Different outcomes. If you took it into Photoshop as a brush, what it might look like. So you can customize brushes. Here's what it would look like in Illustrator stretched along a path, right? And then we go back to. Right, you have to take it back to those apps. So it's gonna even if you don't have desktop apps, it's going to go. Where's home? That's I think you can. So we'll go. Where's the home button? No. Interesting. Home. You see a home button anywhere? I don't. There, let's try. Nope, that's that. All right. Done. Now what? Now it's frozen. I've killed it. Next. It's not happy now.
So that's sketch, and then, no, that was captured.
That was captured. So I was hoping to. Okay, there. Things are hiccuping here. So go back to that style. Next, edit brush. I know. If you're just doing your own thing, it doesn't matter, right? Style. I'm seriously aghast at the lack of a clear home button here in this. I was not having this problem on my phone last night either.
Capture is Adobe as well,
Yes,
and so is Draw.
yes. So
But all on,
Capture's gonna like let you. God, I wish it was
all on the
working. Why is it not? Yeah, I went to capture, back, come on, back. I don't want to capture, yeah, it's dead. But like on the phone though, you can do like, you can get like you said, you can do color swatches. So you can like point at a photograph and get like a little palette of colors, and then you could take it into Illustrator and use it. So you're like, oh, that's a cool little vista, and apply it. The brushes show up when you go to, your desktop app. So all this stuff, I mean, this is more for like, that's the thing about whether or not this works for the students, in terms of porting things over.